Welcome to this Esade session on Women in Tech, business perspective. We, we are honored today to have here Vanessa Starak and Elena Bow, both profiles in business and tech sectors. And I'm really happy because we have um, Elisenda Bow, that comes from a technical undergrad background and then went to the business world. And we have also Vanessa here, that she came from a more business background and then she worked in the technological sector. So let me introduce briefly our two invited. Elisenda Bow obtained her degree in telecommunications engineering at the UPC and her PhD at UPC MIT. And she started her professional career combining research and entrepreneurship. And he was the founder of several startups. In 2012, she co-founded and was the CTO of Willix, a video processing startup. And she's currently the head of Apple Media Knowledge and Content Understanding. So welcome, Elisenda. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
And then we have Vanessa Storak, that she was from our school, graduated at the Esade Business School. In fact, she was one of my students in the algebra class. That right? Okay. So, and she has worked in several technological companies in the such as Kokaido and Sage. And in addition, she is the co-founder and currently president of the Women in Mobile. So thank you very much for accepting our invitation.
Thank you.
So let's divide our session. Will be divided in several parts. First, we will start talking about the personal career a little bit to know which were their interests, and then we will talk about the current situation, the landscape that we are right now dealing with, and then we will go to analyze a little bit the causes and the opportunities that we have to improve the actual situation. And finally, we will talk about future directions. So let's go directly to the first part, asking to them, so the order, it doesn't mind, if what really motivated your interest, or what really sparked you to enter in the technology world? How were you starting the interest?
Okay, I can start.
Yeah.
First, thanks for having me here today. I'm very happy to be talking to all of you. With regards to how my path started, so I think when we talk about a woman in technology, obviously I'm a technologist, so I'm gonna talk from this perspective. When we speak about women in technology, we usually see two types of groups of women. One is the ones that know, that they've knew for, since the beginning that they wanted to do technology, like the geeks and kind of freaks over there. I was part of that group. But there is also a very important group of girls that maybe they don't think about going to STEM careers just at the beginning, because they don't feel they are this type of profile. And while I'm going to be speaking because I'm from the first one, I think it's also very important to know that we should be helping the other group of women to feel it's normal for a woman or for a girl to have a career in STEM. And so you don't need to feel like you have been born to do it just to get into STEM. So my background is I've always liked math and technology. I was this kind of person. I studied telecom engineering in UPC. Then I participated actually in one of the NASA Centennial Challenges, building a space elevator. Then I got selected to enter MIT for my master's. I continued there through my PhD, and then I became an entrepreneur.
Okay, thank you. Vanessa.
I'm part of the second group you mentioned. In fact, I was interested in technology, and at high school I selected the technical path. However, I didn't have any role model me, so I couldn't ask for any advice regarding engineering or technical careers. So, and in fact, I received another kind of feedback, which was at that moment that engineering was very difficult. I'm not really sure that if I were a man, I would have received the same feedback. But okay, that was that. So I decided to study business administration, and after I finished my career, um, everyone was joining big corporations, big companies, and I went against the flow. I decided to join a startup when it wasn't really fancy talking about being entrepreneur or joining a startup. In fact, my parents didn't understand what was a startup by then. And there I understand or I learned a lot about digital marketing. And then in another startup that I co-founded, I learned about digital products and how technology help business. And I mean, this is how I
Okay.
finish here.
Okay, so let's go now to see the difficulties. So let me say the 30% of places in technology are just covered by women, so less than a half. And then if you go to the leadership in technology, you get just the 22% of women. So having these two women here, what I want to ask you is, which are the main difficulties that you have found in your careers to really be able to address this dual, let's say this dual career on technology and business?
Well,
Difficulties.
in my case, I felt lonely. Um, and I mean, when I started my company, I didn't have any women peer. And I decided, okay, why don't I go out? I went to conferences, I attend conferences. And then there I realized that on stage there weren't any women 10 years ago. And attending, there were few women. So I decided together with a colleague to start Women in Mobile, WIM, in order to find these peers that I couldn't find on my job, and find these women that are there to learn from and to share knowledges.
I totally agree with that. So like if I look at my past, when I started my undergrad, I think I was one out of 8 people in my class, 8 women, sorry, in my class. Then when I continued through my master, we were 4 women. Then for the PhD, we were 2, and then I ended up like being the only one, right? So this happens a lot, and as you go through the stages in education, you kind of become used to being lonely or alone or the only kind of like woman there, and that is hard. And I think we also need to acknowledge that, because there is a big part that kind of makes you feel that because you are the only one, you have to prove everyone that you can still deserve that you are entitled to be in the same place as the others, when in fact it's more likely that you had it many times more difficult than the rest of the people there. So I think like kind of dealing with that necessity to be proving everyone that you deserve to be there, it's a challenge. It's also definitely helped in my career too. So I don't want to say like this is all bad, because when I started working in projects for NASA, and then I was not only the only woman, I was also the only person from Spain, and I think at some point I was the only European. So while maybe other peers were having troubles to be like the only one, I had 10 years of experience on that already. So
Okay.
so it's a challenge. It also gives you like some help when you deal with difficult situations afterwards.
Okay, thank you. Now I want to address another problem that is around the barriers we found in our professional path, and also the gap existing in the payment of women. So there is a 50% of gap in general. But do you think that in our sector is even worse? Do you have had some barriers not only in going up in your profession, but also in feeling well paid as as your peers? Do you think that this is really also a problem in this sector?
I can start. So regarding payments, I think the situation is improving a lot regarding how much money like women earn, at least in technology, because those things are starting to be more open and there's more clarity at least around these numbers. Um, One of the problems is like you encounter while you're growing, when we talk about these ceilings, when you're growing, you encounter several people, obviously not everyone, and the majority of people, they don't have these biases anymore. But I'm pretty sure that everyone here, all the women here, have experienced at some point in their career somebody coming and saying some not very good comment about, like, I've heard comments around the lines, oh, I'm very much into women in leadership, but I would never report to a woman.
Ah,
So we all have to deal with this, and it's definitely a challenge because these people are outside in the market, and so you're gonna have more challenges to work with them or to have them report to you than with others, and that's a problem. But I think in terms of equity in pay, I haven't had any trouble.
okay.
What I have, I did some research because I wasn't aware of these differences. I mean, in other sectors, yes, but what I realized that in the tech sector, at least in Spain, people earn 20% more than in other sectors. So, I mean, differences can be there, but at least tech sector we earn more than in other sectors for similar positions. And regarding difficulties, I think that sometimes we are not aware of that. Um, but what I found many many times in a lot of meetings is that what we call this mansplaining, that I say something and then another man just repeat what you say. I mean myself
I
or
said,
other women, and they repeat what other women said, saying the same and
yeah,
just revalidating that, and it's like, but you're just saying the same, you're repeating that. And I think that it's important to be aware of these kind of behaviors and speak up and say, hey, that's not good. I mean, we need all together to try to change at least this kind of biases and behaviors that are normalized in these situations.
okay. Let's go now to analyze a little bit not only the causes but also the opportunities that maybe we have to go on and to improve the real situation. Because in general, we talk about lack of role models, biases, or even aversion to change. So, do you think in any other type of cause or any other situation or that may be important in order to find opportunities, in order to try to avoid these problems that we may found in our career? About role models, about, I don't know, but for instance, in my case, I study math because my father was there and was saying, oh, you are good. So in general, I think that the family is something important. Then I see that the school where you go, if they really push boys and girls in the same way and trying to do, this type of secondary activities that we have for children are really, really very, very different from girls and from boys. I don't know why this is still in this way. Do you see any opportunity or any way to solve this type of biases that really exist?
I can start. So I think, in my opinion, uh, these challenges exist, and the lack of role models and everything else that you were mentioning, and we can speak for all these challenges. But I'm pretty sure like almost everyone here knows or have experienced them in one way or the other. One of the interesting things that's happening is when we talk about STEM and women. I think everyone kind of has this feeling that we are going to a better place, like that there is more women enrolled in STEM careers every year and we are going into the positive direction. I hate to break it to you, but it's not. So we are going backwards. Right now, what's going on is in computer science, if you look at the percentage of women, it's going down every year. And then you start thinking, like, why is that? Because I see more parents involved in gender parity. I see more people involved in leveraging like STEM in high schools and all these things. Why does it happen? One of the things that, coincidentally or not, also is happening is that there is way more interest into going into STEM careers. That means that the cutting line for you to get into these careers is also higher. So women have had for a while some challenges with regards to self-assessment and how ambitious we are. And it's not that we are not getting these young women or girls into like technology. Right now, I think what's happening is, as there is more demand to go into technological careers, the bar gets higher. And because women are not educated to be as ambitious as men, we don't even try. And that is really concerning. And I think we should be thinking about this. And we should not only be thinking about how we can make girls get into STEM, but also how we can educate them so they feel empowered, so they feel ambitious, so they think that they can eat the world.
In fact, girls do believe that they are less brilliant than boys when we are 6. I mean, it's amazing. I do believe that we need to break stereotypes, since we are really, really small. And I want to be positive on here, and I do believe that, yeah, there's much to do, and maybe we are going, no, maybe not, we are going backwards. That's a fact. But I do believe that there are many programs working in order to change this. I mean, with Women in Mobile, we collaborate with the Technovation Challenge, and they are really trying to involve girls and teams with technology since they are really small, and trying to involve not only girls but all together as a team and make just, make believe that girls can do this. I mean, technology is, we are consumers of technology, and we can also be part of the creators of technology. So this is something that we need to be aware of, and something that we need to transmit to all the girls and teens.
Totally. And I think you mentioned something that's very relevant, which is technology is becoming part of everything we do, all our environment, like 24 hours a day. We need to start normalizing technology and normalizing having a career in tech. You don't need to be a freak or like a geek or like something like very weird to get yourself into STEM. It should be normal. There are so many jobs in STEM. That should be the regular thing to do. What we should be asking ourselves is why you're not in STEM, because definitely STEM is going to be a crucial part of like 80% of the jobs in the future.
And here media, I think, has an important
Yeah.
role. I mean, I have a young son, he's 4, and we are trying to educate him in a way that he can do everything, play with anything. And at school, I am aware that they are doing the same. But then
In media, yeah.
he came and it's like, Mama, I cannot play with dolls. Why? Yeah, because, I mean, boys normally play with cars or balls, and it's like,
Yeah.
why? And
So
it's
media
something-
is
yeah.
also some important point. Yeah. Okay. So let's finish by trying to give a positive recommendation. You know, we come from a business school. Right now, we are starting a new undergrad on AI for business, and also we have all the students that are starting our master in business analytics. So let's see if you can give us a recommendation or the future women, girls that are going to be enrolled in our programs. What would you like to say them in order to be more well integrated in this sector? Any recommendation for us or for the students that we
A lot
have?
of recommendations. That's what happens when you do a lot of mistakes, that you learn a lot and then you have a lot of recommendations.
Learning system.
So I think one of the most important things is like when you're young and you're trying to figure out what you're going to do with your life, you spend a lot of time thinking, what do I like? I'm really made for this job or this one? Or is that how my future career looks like? I think an important part of what you do is going to be modified or changed by who you do it with And so sometimes we don't spend so much time thinking about who are we working with as opposed to in what.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important, and particularly for women, because we need allies. And so try to make sure that wherever you land, you're going to have good peers around you that are going to be supporting you, that are going to be helping you become better person and better professional, as opposed to thinking like, oh, like my career should be in AI only, or like this kind of things.
I was going to say something similar, curiosity. I mean, don't be afraid to try new things, and because at the end, we are all able to do anything we want. And one thing I learned from experience is that we don't need to be afraid of asking for help. And this is something that I learned because I thought that I could do anything alone. And no, no, no. I mean, we can't ask for help, and this is not something bad.
But that's because like we need to prove ourselves so much. So because you are the only one, or like one of the few people around, women around there, you feel like you have to prove. And when you have to prove, you enter into this kind of mentality that's telling you, oh, I need to be able to do everything, fix everything, act like I'm completely normal and not like, and I can do everything well. And so asking for help is also very important and very natural, and we shouldn't be afraid. I totally agree with you.
We are not robots.
Okay, so just let's say finishing that what we want to say is that we want to try to convince women to go to the technological sector because we really need leaders in this sector that are women. Thank you very much for your
Thank you.
attention.
Thank you.